testing or the engineering field for the first time. I cannot really say that experience in the field. I'm also a baby, but I'll be sharing my own experience with you, which I also believe definitely align with what other people also experienced, right? So I'd like to share my screen, so we'll just get into it. So, and also I don't know how long it's going to take us, but I know the class should not be long for me, and we also have time for questions and answers. Then we also need feedback in regards to what the class is going to be about. Thank you, ma'am and sirs. Okay. Well, I don't know if I will take that long, but let's see how it goes. All right. Please confirm if you can see my screen. All right. Yeah. Thank you once again for inviting me to speak on this. Personally, I know I'm not the most experienced person to discuss this topic, but however, I will also be sharing what I've experienced practically on the field. So managing testing in an agile environment and ensuring continuous delivery. So for those of us that are new to software testing or probably software development, I want to believe that we've read up or probably must have heard about agile process or agile methodology in software development. And we must also have heard about the software development process and the software testing process. And they will be familiar with some of the terms and languages that we'll be using. So basically, Agile is very popular methodology that developers adopt or testers adopt in any testing or development project. And I want to believe the popularity or is based on its functional deliveries, right? Like the success story is more than the setbacks. So I want to believe that is one of the reasons why people or almost every organization wants to use this methodology in development and also in testing. So our introduction, okay, basically Agile means that in just a basic language, Agile approach means that software developers, software testers, product engineers, customers, or owner of the business or owner of the product that you want to design are working together to achieve the same goal. So you don't leave development process only to the developers under an agile approach. Every single stakeholders, down from whoever conceptualized the idea of that product, down to data engineers, down to web designers, down to back-end developers, to testers, to automation testers, to manual testers, to every single person, right? So that is what Agile actually entails. And I want to believe that we are also aware that that word also came from the word agility, right? Having capacity in different areas embedded into one. So agile development emphasizes frequent delivery, customer collaboration, and adaptive planning. So adaptive planning means right from the time you are thinking about the idea, right? You already have every single person that will be important in the actualizing of that idea on ground. Then also testing in Agile must also align with these values of ensuring that we have developers, customers, testers, product engineers, and other stakeholders that are important in the project together. So under Agile methodology, you must align with this principle. So that is when you can actually get the benefits of using the Agile approach in your project. Then continuous delivery also ensures every change can be released reliably and quickly. And then another thing I didn't put here is that you will be able to track whatever changes that you are making to your project or your product or to the process that you are actually working on. Please, you are free to come at any time and ask your question if you have questions or any observation, or probably if I'm speaking too low or too fast. You can always point my attention to anything. So why are we having this session? We'll be considering some objectives and some of the challenges that I know are faced, or that I also know is also applicable to some other persons that have used the Agile approach in the project. The first objective is that we need to understand how to integrate testing effectively under the Agile workflow. We also need to learn the strategy to maintain quality while also enabling continuous delivery. So these things may seem very simple, but when you get down to doing the job, you will understand that a lot of understanding, a lot of preparation, and a lot of know-how must have gone into you achieving success in just these two that I've highlighted here, right? So to understand the Agile workflow, you need to have a deep understanding of the entire process, not just adopting the methodology itself, right? The people aspect of it, that is I don't have a language for that at the moment, but the people aspect of it, okay, let's say emotional intelligence part of it, let's say the technical know-how, the part of it, you must have a deep understanding of these areas when you're adopting Agile workflow. Because the truth is, Agile process will intimidate you. Agile process will intimidate you when you are starting. It will look like, oh, let's go, we can do it. So you have to always be on your toes to work with it. Then the strategy for continuous delivery with Agile methodology is also very important, because you get to a time where the workload or even the challenges of a particular phase under the Agile environment will be so challenging that you will mostly want to quit or want to drop the process. But if you do, that will be a defeat for that project. And it's also very important to know that you have the standing before you start. So some of the challenges we have are rapid iteration that requires faster test cycles. Like I've said, you need stamina to adopt that Agile methodology. You need serious stamina, because the fast approach of the methodology will challenge the entire team. It will challenge you as a person. It will challenge the developer. It will challenge the tester, to challenge the stakeholder. So if you don't have enough capacity for it, you feel you are making a mistake by adopting the Agile methodology. But that's just the where the efforts actually lies for you to be able to achieve success in adopting Agile methodology for your project. So frequent changes increases regression rates. So it's also very important that from beginning you map out how you want to handle your testing, especially when it comes to regression, because every single minute, every single hour, things are changing in the documentation, things are changing in the development process, even in the testing approach, things are changing. Even the entire team a lot of things are changing. So you need to brace up for it. Those are some of the challenges that we face. And balancing speed with quality in CI/CD pipeline is also very, 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 very important, right? It's also very, very important. So you need to map out line. And like where I work at the moment, we have a different process entirely set up for just the pipeline alone, right? That is implementing the CI/CD pipeline, because that is an entire process on its own. So you need to map up all of these things to be able to achieve success. So we have 4 basic agile principles here. These are fundamental principles that you must pay attention to when you're adopting agile methodology for software development, or for testing, or for product design or development. One, we have the shift left testing. This means you test earlier, you start testing earlier. And why this one is also different from our traditional testing process is because for the traditional testing process, you are thinking of testing when the project has been developed, or the development phase has ended. But in agile methodology, right from when the idea is being built, you are involved as a tester. The product engineer is involved as a product engineer. The data person is involved. The customer is involved. The developers are involved. Every single person that will be important on that project are involved right from the beginning. So also this phase also involves QA in sprint planning and design discussions. So this is where you map out how your project will be structured, right? And what you'll be focusing on per time, and who will be assigned to which particular task in any period or any given time at all. So the second one is also the whole team quality ownership. This approach is also very important, because these are one of the key essence of adopting the agile methodology, right? When developers are writing their code, they are writing like a tester. So they're not just writing as if they're writing for someone else to test, or they are writing for people to go and use without test. So it's even a very bad practice for a developer to develop a code that he or she has not tested, and it passes on to a tester or to any other stakeholder in the projection. So the developer write the unit test to confirm that whatever module they are developing or they are designing is actually working as expected. Also, in this phase, testers also focus on iteration and end-to-end testing, right? So you don't just test a feature and say, yes, this is good. You test every single item on that project end-to-end. So product owner also validates the quality of the business requirements, and if anything is going to change, one individual cannot just wake up and change a requirement that have been agreed upon by the entire team. So even if it's just a point or just a comma that you are changing in the requirement documentation, every single person on that project must be aware and must also align with it. So it must be in agreement with every other person on the project. Then another one is also the test automation, which is a very, very important part of the agile approach. If you don't have automation, your agile process is not complete, and you are going to run into a lot of problems. Bro, automate repetitive tests that are required in the project, like regression, smoke test. You cannot always be doing this manually under an agile approach. It will draw you back to take your time, and it will challenge the entire thing. It will challenge the deployment time also. So prioritize tests that are based on tests based on risk and frequency of execution. So you need to highlight, or you need to prioritize your tests, especially your test cases that have been mapped as high-end, or that have been mapped as high priority test cases. So you need to attend to them based on their priorities and executions, frequency of execution. For example, you need to have an automation, any single, I mean, any period, that anytime you just wake up and go to for a login functionality of your project. Let's say, for example, we're working on a particular website that require login access. So most times you be logging into an application. So it will not make sense if you don't have automation in place for a feature like login, because you know definitely that a lot of persons will be using this and they'll be using it a lot of time. So the last one is the continuous feedback. Under the Agile approach, the same way you have continuous planning, you engage, you discuss whatever observation you have noted during the process. It's the same way you also pay attention to feedbacks, continuous feedbacks. So under that process, testing is never finished. Even development is never finished. It's a continuous process. So in this phase, testers collaborate with both developers and both owners on daily basis, right? Because things will be changing from time to time, even after the project has been deployed. We also use tools like Jira, Slack, or Teams for real-time communications, just to use communication for every team member on the project. So testing is also not a phase, which is very important for everyone to understand. Under the Agile approach, it happens continuously. I think I should have even put it as number one. Testing, it is not a phase. Testing is not a phase under the Agile approach, right? It's a continuous activity for every single person. And people that are designated as testers are not the only one that will be doing testing under the Agile process. I hope everyone is still with me here. Please confirm if I'm still connected. Okay, am I still connected, right? Okay, all right, thank you. Yeah, sorry. So we have sorry. Yes, Agile testing strategies. I highlighted 3 here. We have the Agile testing quadrant. We shall split the types of testing into 4 quadrants, and we have unit tests, we have the functional tests, we have the exploratory testing, and the performance and security testing. And why this is being split to quadrants with traction on everything we are doing. For the unit for this phase, and for developers when they are writing their unit tests. Then for functional tests, we know many of us are also familiar with Postman. We also use Rest Assured for API automations. Then exploratory testing, we use Selenium and Appium. And we know it's very challenging when you want to do exploratory testing with manual. You cannot exhaust every single feature in the application on that manner, especially when you you have a time constraint on your from your end. So it's quite important that we automate this. We have an automation setup before majority. I know some of us are, I mean, most people are come performance test through. Then the second one is behavioral driven development, which is a BDD that as you know. One common tool with that is also 𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗶, 𝗧𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃, and 𝗔𝗃𝗃. And funny enough, the first time I heard about 𝗧𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃 was during an interview with a company in UK. So, and ever since then, I've been researching on it. I think about a year or two now. So it's also a very useful tool, both 𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃, 𝗧𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃, 𝗔𝗃𝗃, and we also have other ones that we can adopt. And the approach they use is they simplify the communication. Let's say for a login functionality now, you just put them in a simple language, which most times that's the kind of language that management or business-oriented persons want to interact with. They are not interested in your code or in the technical know-how that you want to bring on board. They just want to see, how can I relate with this? For example, as I've stated there, you can use lateral valid credentials, then I should see the dashboard. When you are adopting this, I think this is a sample for from 𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃, that the spec flow also follow this approach too. So when you are using this, your code are in the background. Whoever is interacting with this does not have the understanding of what you are writing, what their voice. Let me click on this statement and let's see the behavior. And you must have connected the 𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃 specification with your functional code that you have written. Also, the last one on high risk area first, because you cannot take every single items in your project at the same time. So you need to focus on what is very important for you to start with, and you can always work with that. Less important features can then come later. Please, if you have any question. So now we have continuous delivery. In continuous delivery, we have key follow in setting up our continuous delivery. So what is first mainly important in continuous delivery is the quality of the code that you are writing, then the process that you are also adopt for continuous delivery. It's also very important, right? Just focusing on matter as much as the process and your understanding of the process. So my end, we use 𝗔𝗃𝗃, and I know some of us will also be familiar with 𝗔𝗃 commands and how the process goes. So when we write our automation code, right, we push it to a repository, which most times will be either GitLab or GitHub or whichever cloud code management platform that I want to use, right? So we have three main activities. First, we commit our project to the platform. Then we deploy it to the test environment where you and I or any other tester can actually do testing on, and our main project will not be broken, because you cannot test directly on your main, we mostly refer to as the production environment, when the whole testing process has taken place. Then we also have the testing manual test platform before you put to production, rather. So, any question, please? So the key practice in continuous delivery also includes parallel test execution. And most times we use either browser stack for cloud testing. We use TestBridge sometimes. We use cells that focus on using parallel execution. And what that means is you can execute your code on multiple browsers, multiple OS, multiple platforms at the same time, and that should not affect the quality or the functionality of your automation code. So we have the blue-green deployment, which reduce downtime and rollback risk. So what the blue-green means is that we don't just push all our eggs in one basket, right? We roll out based on segments, right? And when something goes wrong, we can quickly fall back to our previous environment that we're working on. So we don't roll out and just quit what platform we're working on right from time. Then feature flags. We test new features in production under the feature flags because of the productions that have been made available for probably 1 or 2 users to have that kind of access on production. Then tools that we use for CD testing, we have the CI/CD orchestration, which is the purpose is actually for to be able to monitor the CI/CD and its behavior. And some of the tools we use are Jenkins, GitHub Actions, or GitLab CI. Are you speaking, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Automation, we use Selenium.
Okay, sure.
We use test automation, and for test automation, we have Selenium. Okay, are you speaking with me, please? All right. So we use Selenium for test automation, or Appium, which is also mostly used for mobile automation. We have Playwright. We have Cypress. We have several other automation tools that we can use. I know many people are also familiar with Cypress, Playwright, and Selenium also. So for performance testing, we use JMeter, we use Gatling, we use cases. For most times, I use cases and JMeter. So for monitoring, we can use 𝗘𝘃 stack rather. We use Prometheus. Sometimes we use the GitLab CI monitoring tool, which is also made available on their own platform too. Then we also have different other platforms that we can use for CI/CD. So what are the metrics for agile testing? One, we have test coverage. The purpose of test coverage is for us to know the percentage of code exercised by the test, right? When you write your automation code, you want to know the percentage of the code that you have written that is actually executed in the automation execution, right? So that irrelevant imports or irrelevant dependencies on the project can be weeded out, so that they will not form undue load on your project. Then we have defect escape rate. This also is used to measure the number of bugs that is found in production. That's the number of bugs that escape the testing process, right? So that's why we use the defect escape rate. We also have the cycle time. Cycle time means the time it takes from the first commit to when the project is being deployed to production. So we need to measure that time so that we can put traction on what we are working on or what we are achieving per time, so that we don't just give an open-ended specification on our project. Then we have flaky test rate. And I know many of us will also be familiar with what flaky test means. Flaky test means when you have your test cases that are working fine yesterday, and you come today, they are not working fine, even without changing anything in your code. The testing is not stable. So that's what we refer to as flaky test. And the flaky test rate is used to measure the percentage of test fail intermittently when nothing has changed in our code. All right. Okay, these are some of the best practices that we can adopt under the Agile approach. One, the daily stand-ups. It's very important for us to have a daily stand-up because it helps us to discuss test progress and blockbusters. We have the sprint retrospective. It improves testing process iteratively because at this phase, making repeated increment and improvement is very made easy, right? When we experience an approach, or when we experience a new behavior in our testing process, we can repeat that process to enhance the next development process, right? So that we will not be repeating the same mistake or the same error that are made in that phase. So we have the test data management. We use synthetic data for consistency. Then we have the shift right testing, where we monitor production with A/B tests and canary release. And what this means is that we deploy to different or to separate environments at the same time, and we observe their behavior. So whichever one brings the most favorable condition or the most favorable output, then we fully roll into that and we adopt it. So we have a case study I would like us to consider. This is a Spotify's agile testing model that they adopted while they are upgrading their platform. What they did was that the first approach they adopted is squad-based testing. From the business analyst that is going to put together the business requirements, they are writing the requirement as if they are a tester. From the developers, they are writing their code as if they are testers. From the tester standpoint, they are testing as if they are developers. So every single unit, every single team have that mindset that I'm not just testing as a tester, I'm testing as if I'm the one writing the code. And the same way a developer is also writing his code as if he is also the one that is going to test it. And that also applies to products, to data, to every single person on that project. And it really helped them. And I'm sure we can also testify for some of us that used Spotify's platform. We must have testified to the quality of work that have gone to that platform. Then they also adopt the fast development, the deployment, which is by 50+ deployment per day. So they don't want to know what skills you have. If they pick any single module, they make sure that they put that single module, all those modules to functional level. It's every single day. So and they are able to achieve that. So, and they also adopt an automation frame model, which says automate every single thing first, whether important or not. Just automate every single phase of the development process, every single phase of the testing process. Automate. So if after you automate and you now see that there are other features that does not really require automation, that's when we're done with that. So unlike in what is also common with us is several times where we want to automate after every single thing has been done, which does not really buy time for us. And it's also telling on the cost of development, especially in Nigeria. Then they also adopt risk analysis, where they conduct a risk assessment for the entire development team and the project itself. Everything they've done right, they review it. Everything they've done wrong, they review it. And what they even made they even give themselves an expectation of a wrongdoing during the project phase, even things that doesn't really exist, just for them to be on the safer side. And they analyze every single thing. So this kind of model that really help to achieve the quality of platform they have now. So here, the key takeaways I would highlight here is: one, agile testing requires collaboration, automation, and continuous feedback. And it's very common in workplace where you see developers, they don't like testers for anything, because their concept of agile approach is not really refined to this understanding. Under the agile process, you must understand that whether feedback is convenient or not, whether it's pleasant or not, you must accommodate feedbacks. You must accommodate feedbacks, and you must also be willing to collaborate with, whether you are angry with the tester or you are angry with the developers, you must be willing to collaborate. If not, the essence of agile process will be defeated. Then under the agile process, balance speed and quality using the test pyramid. What's the testing pyramid? It's what we mentioned earlier when we are discussing the quadrant. From the unit test, which starts with the developer that developed the code itself, down to UAT. That's the test pyramid. So you must balance speed and quality. Don't say because we need to push, then developer choose to skip the unit test. They say, oh, we need to deploy. Now let's just push aside the manual testing and focus only on automation. What about features that automation does not actually attend to? So you need to highlight some of these issues in your testing process, so that we don't run to problems while we are trying to solve one. Then monitor the metrics to improve the process activity, so that the process that you have gone through to achieve success now, monitor it and observe what you have done right that can be repeated on any other project in the future. And that will be a very, very wonderful one for you and the entire team. So I guess we are done with the class already. So I'll say thank you, everyone that have listened. Please, if you have any question, I'll be here. All right. Thank you. All right. Thank you.